in their downtown area. They have all these really nice quaint shops, and we're at a place called Nelson's Candies. And Nelson's makes hand-dipped chocolates, brittles, and fudges. So let's go inside. This is a family-owned business, and let's check out and see what they've got. They got some interesting looking stuff. Oh my God. So we're here talking with Nancy, and Nancy's the owner of Nelson's Candies. Nancy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the shop and where it got started, its roots, so on and so forth.
The Nelson family started making candy in either 1911 or 1914, depending upon who you're listening to, down in Lowell, Massachusetts. And Doug Nelson grew up making candy for his grandparents in Lowell and also on the beach, Hampton Beach. In his older years, he ended up taking the antique taffy machines and antique copper kettles and moving up here to New Hampshire. He tried Salem, New Hampshire first for a short while and did not have very good luck there. Moved here to Wilton, and the town really embraced him. And in fact, he was in a smaller building, a few buildings down. The first 3 or 4 years he was here. He became so popular that they needed to expand, and he bought this building. So that's how we end up here in New Hampshire. The recipes were all recipes Doug learned from his grandparents. Again, they're making candy in 1911, 1914. It's a lot of fun to work here, and we still do things the old way. Doug wanted somebody who would take over. Doug has since passed away, but he wanted somebody who would take over and keep everything the same. And that's what we've tried to do. We've expanded our offerings a little bit. There's a few more choices now than there used to be, but we still make the candy canes with his ancient recipe. We still make the taffy with his recipe. The chocolate, everything is still done that way.
So one of the signature products here at Nelson's is these candy canes. As you can see, they come in varying lengths. I mean, they go from like probably 6 inches all the way up to almost 2.5 feet. So Phil, I see you also make candy canes. Why don't you tell us about that process?
Okay, so the candy canes, what we do is we start over on the end kettle.
Yeah.
We cook up our candy to 300 some odd degrees, and we pour it out on this table.
Okay.
This table has some pipes underneath that spray cold water, so it can cool the candy as quick as you want. We only usually do it for a few seconds. We add our flavoring, and then we add our colors for the stripes. The part that's going to be white, uncolored, we bring over and we pull it on a hook. That aerates the candy, that stretches the sugar crystals, and it makes the candy a little bit more brittle, so you can get a nice crunch out of it. Also whitens the candy. Meanwhile, we keep over here, we keep our whatever colors we're going to be using. In this case, we did red and green. So then after they're done pulling the candy, they bring it over as a loaf. And we set up another table over here on top of boiling kettles, and that's our hot table. And we stick the stripes to the candy, so it looks like a big loaf. And we just roll it, and then we start to pull it out. We call it extruding, and then we bring it back to this table, and the girls will hook it. And then we use all kinds of different flavors. These happen to be peppermint, we do raspberry, orange, we do cinnamon, we do clove canes, we do anise canes. lemon lime. We do all types of flavors. My personal favorite is the molasses candy cane. So the candy, when we cook it, is very dark, but when you pull it, it turns gold colored because the dark molasses. And then we take some of that portion of the candy that's not stretched, so it's really dark, and it makes these beautiful dark stripes on this gold candy.
So when we do our specialty truffles, which has, different ganache, it has ganache in it. I make the ganache from scratch. First I have to make the shells, and it's a 4-step process, really. So I'll take the mold, and I'll use a glove, of course, and I'll dip in a certain color of colored chocolate. And first thing I do is I go on the inside, and I just quickly, do a design that I want to do for the day. And then once that dries, I'll pour the dark chocolate in. And then once that dries, after I make the ganache and the ganache sits overnight, I'll pop the ganache in and then top it off with the dark chocolate. We have 7 different flavors with the ganache and the French cream cheese.
Mmm.
Yeah.
So this is a gas-fired popcorn machine. Why don't you tell us about it there?
Okay, so this machine here, as you can see, it's a drum that rotates, and what we do is we light her up, and then as it spins around, we dump popcorn in there, and it just fires it up, starts popping like crazy, and we have a special scoop that we place right in front of it, dumps it right out into our buckets, and then we use that same popcorn, so there's no oil, there's no salt, there's nothing, it's just air pop, just the heat of the fire. And then we'll mix it with caramel, or we'll mix it with white chocolate, or whatever we want to make
So you've got some chocolate that's heating up in here right now, right?
Yeah, and this is, I'm just going to let this cool down now. It's it's harder than it needs to be. So we're going to let it drop back down, and then we're going to bring it back up to our working time. So I'm just going to pull it off, and then when it looks about right, I'll put it back on. Over here, this nice air gap under there, so everything cools fairly quickly. And the nice thing about the copper is that it spreads the heat so evenly.
These are marshmallow turkeys that they make. They're very, very popular. And then here's some fully chocolate turkeys sitting on a really nice bed of what looks like fall leaves. Aren't these cute? Well, Nancy, I really appreciate the tour. It was great meeting all your employees and seeing all your chocolate and seeing how stuff is done. I mean, we never expected. We were just walking through town and boom, here we are. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming in and taking an interest in
You're
us.
very welcome. Well, until next time, I'm Jeff with Miss America USA saying bye-bye. Please watch, please subscribe, and don't forget to give us a like.